Hello, fight fans, and welcome to the Hit and Don't Get Hit podcast. My name's Shane. I'm joined by my two very good friends, Joe and James. So, how's your weekend been, lads?
Not been too bad, mate. Aye. Hopefully lockdown is over soon, and looking forward to obviously getting out again and hopefully maybe getting a few boxing fights as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think the schedule's looking nice coming up. I know, obviously, the May 1st card that's been announced with Joseph Parker and Derek Chisora. I've heard about Eddie Hearn bringing Fight Camp back, so it's looking good for the summer of boxing. So I want to start, obviously, the big announcement, the AJ Fury undisputed fight. Just want to hear your thoughts on the announcement.
Massive, mate. Like, just really happy as well. It's been announced after all this time. Like, we've been waiting for it really since Fury beat Wilder, and obviously 2020, obviously for obvious reasons, was a fights happened, but obviously we were expecting maybe a third fight with Wilder with Fury. Obviously that obviously didn't happen. Finally, now it just didn't seem that it was going to happen for a few months. Obviously, the start of this year, it's been all about this talk, and it was just maybe it won't happen because of all the obviously Fury wants to fight in Vegas. We don't actually know the location yet, which is still obviously.
I think it'd be like Middle East. Either way, I think this is the biggest boxing fight of all time, in my opinion. And I think like there's no really winner or loser in this fight. I think this fight, particularly for the British fans, is for the fans. Like for us Brits to have two of the best heavyweights in the world fighting for all the marbles, most prestigious crown in boxing. I think it's great. Although like it won't be in our country, the first fight. So hopefully this rematch, Wembley, 90,000, get that packed out. And as you said, there was loads of talks. I personally thought the fight was gone when AJ got beat off the ways. That's when I thought the fight was gone. And then, but luckily, AJ's came back, got put two really good performances. I was really impressed with the Puella fight, to be fair. I know Puella's a tough fight. And obviously Tyson, And obviously Tyson put in that performance against Wilder in February of 2020. That's the greatest performance I've ever seen by any boxer. No one's done that to Wilder.
Who would have
take him out like that?
I know it was all said last year, and obviously we're doing our podcast now a year after that's happened. But the way he went in that fight, and he went in against the most dangerous boxer in the world, and everyone said, is he gonna? No one would have thought he would have beat him like that. Just went through him, showed no fear, and everyone was thinking, oh well, he might. I honestly thought going into that rematch with Wilder, try the same tactics as the first one, and I honestly thought going into that fight Wilder would knock him out. And once again,
I agree.
Once again, he shocked the world, and
you've got to give it to Sugar Hill Leonard. I think they're changing the trainer, whereas he was with Ben Davis in the previous fight, and he was watching back that previous fight. I watched it like this week, and he did have Wilder hurt on numerous occasions. He just didn't push and put the foot down. He didn't capitalise on that, but definitely in that fight, he marched forward. But I remember watching it and I was thinking, what's he doing? I was thinking, like, he's got to be. And then when he hurt him, I thought, mate, and it's proved to show, like, with Deontay Wilder, he has got obviously that equaliser, that big punch. But if you put him on his back foot, there's not much he can do. And I think now Tyson Fury set that blueprint out to beat Deontay Wilder. Like, I don't really think Wilder's going to come back from that. I think, like, Fury's, like, took his soul and type way.
The way he's gone on about. It's a shame as well because I really respected Wilder. I thought I didn't. Obviously, his opponents have been questionable in his career. Yeah. What he does boxing for, he fights for his daughter, who's I think got some kind of learning disability. Fights for her. And I think he's a respectable guy. But after the way he's gone on about it, saying his gloves had weights in, whatever, I can't even remember. He's just the way he came out after it was.
He should have handled that loss better.
It was a joke, to be honest.
And now look on the other. When AJ got beat off with ways, like he handled it so well. Like they were asking him, was there something wrong? He says, no, just the better man bet him on the night. And that was, personally, I thought it was a fluke, but in the end, it is the better man. Ruiz was the better man on that night. And as was Wilder, as was Fury in both the fights, to be fair. I think was that draw, the first fight, is the most biggest robbery I've ever seen in my life. It was disgusting.
Oh, well, did Wilder even win the 12th round?
Exactly.
But
that's what I'm saying.
Who do you think wins then? Joshua Fury?
I don't think I think the fight's going like I don't think Fury's going to fight AJ the way he fought Wilder, because I think you've got to approach AJ differently. Like I think you've got to I think if you fight the same way he did against Wilder, I think he'll get caught. But I don't think he has the power to knock out AJ either.
I honestly think Fury goes through Joshua inside 5 rounds.
That's a big statement.
I reckon, honestly, the way, and I'm not saying for 1 minute I dislike either fighter. I love both fighters. I think what Joshua's done for boxing, he's a great role model.
Olympic champion as well.
Exactly. I just think he's very hittable. He gets tired in between rounds, and against Fury,
you can't. You've got to be focused against Fury.
And that second Wilder fight shows that, because Fury was a man who would go in and he'd box phenomenally and he'd probably get a late stoppage or win on points. That Wilder fight shows to everyone, changing his trainer up, that against Joshua, he'll just go through him, in my opinion. And I'm not saying for 1 minute that Joshua isn't. I think the press that Joshua's had since he's lost against Ruiz is being untrue. I think that first Ruiz loss was just a freak, and
I agree.
And Ruiz is no mug. Like, I know the size, of him, and his weight.
I think he's world class. Ruiz, I've always says that people were talking to us about when that first fight got announced. Or Ruiz, I says, all I believe AJ will win. I says, Ruiz he bum, I says, looks might deceive you, but he's a top fighter. And I want to mention as well,
fights, and Ruiz, his style was all wrong for Joshua. Even in the rematch, it showed. He's a type of fighter that you just have to beat and move on.
I think AJ struggles with the shorter fighters, because he had some problems against Povetkin as well. He had that, but I think he thrives off more fighting people that's taller than him, like Klitschko was taller than him, and obviously Fury standing at 6'9". And obviously, I want to mention Fury hasn't fought since Wilder. That'd be nearly about 18 months or something when this fight happens. 18 months out the ring.
Can we ever underestimate Tyson Fury?
I don't think you can.
And what's so great about the fight is either man has got Fury loses. He's already proven. He went to Klitschko's backyard, beat him. Everyone knows the Tyson Fury story. The story is already so amazing, so beautiful, and the fact he's already won. Fury going into that. Joshua has more to lose, I think, going into the fight, because he's got more to prove. I don't think Fury's got anything. But if Joshua does lose, he's lost to the man, in my opinion, the greatest British heavyweight.
If Fury beats AJ in this fight, I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't take that second fight.
That's what I was literally about to say, mate.
What's left for him to prove?
Exactly. And that's why either fighter has got nothing to lose. Fury, in my opinion, Fury takes the fight inside 5 rounds, as I've said. But after that, I do not think he will take the rematch. And if he doesn't take that,
he retires.
Obviously, and rules will.
If he retires at what's his record, 30 something? He's got that draft. He retires undefeated, undisputed heavyweight world champion. Honestly, I'm not. It's a big statement, but I'd obviously see him as the greatest not just heavyweight fighter of all time. You've got to put him in that conversation, because to retire undefeated at heavyweight of all fighting, exactly. Look at the killers he's fought. He's fought Deontay Wilder, AJ. He's fought Klitschko.
Depression,
he's come through that depression, and he's been at the top. He's been at the bottom. His story is just incredible. He's an inspiration to many other young, because obviously they had mental health, with the young kids looking up to Tyson Fury, as they do with AJ, but for very different reasons. I think Fury is more what you see is what you get. He doesn't need to show for no camera, stuff like that. No ambassador what AJ is for Under Armour. And I think that's what everyone likes about Fury, is that he's real, and you can sort of relate to him. But
there's
also
singing songs after he's beat Wilder. I honestly think though, as I say, he beats Joshua, and then after that he retires, and the belts go back to Joshua. So Joshua's not really going to lose anything. By the way, it would not surprise me if Joshua still went in there and defied all the odds, and he beat Whyte.
I think it's not. It's going to. I don't think people say it's a mismatch. I don't think it is. I think it's a close fight, and like I'm stuck in two minds. Every time I'm looking, I change my opinion. So no doubt my opinion will change towards how closer the fight gets. But my mindset now, I say Fury points. I'm saying like eight rounds to 4, because Fury does when he's fighting a decision like the old Fury like against Klitschko. He seems to take a couple of rounds off. I think Joshua will pick up rounds because Joshua gets that second gas of wind. And
he looks like Joshua has definitely learned from that Ruiz loss. We've seen that
100%.
You've seen that against Pulev, the way but once again he took rounds off against Pulev. He was hit easily. And by the way, fantastic performance by him.
Oh, that was the old Joshua we knew. Like he was getting some slack about the Ruiz fight, and like he wasn't stepping the pace no more. And that was a really good performance. Like Pulev's all right. He's a world level fighter, but I think there's only Tyson Fury that can possibly beat AJ in that division. I don't think Usyk's big enough.
No,
I don't think Dillian Whyte. Obviously, we'll get on that later. Povetkin has already beat him. There's Joseph Parker, the Chazoras. Obviously, Joe Joyce coming into it now. Dubois I still think Daniel Dubois. I think all in all, the heavyweight boxing's back.
I mean, I think it was back in 2017, but then it went off the boil a little bit. 2018, in terms of wanting to see Joshua Wilder. Obviously, I know 2018 was a great year. It was 2019. It went off the boil. And what actually saved heavyweight boxing in 2019 was Ruiz beating Joshua.
Definitely, I agree.
But end of the day, I just think, as a fight fan, I think it's fantastic. It's gonna be a fight. Yeah. I think in Fury's fights, I've been very nervous. I've been very nervous in Joshua fights.
Same, I agree.
And I'm gonna be relaxed because I would love to see either man win. I edge towards Fury because of the story and the person. I relate more with that. And
that's what I'm saying. It's the real winners are the fans, especially the British public. Like I say, is about the biggest fight ever is going to be between two Brits. So either man's going to make history. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, it's going to matter a lot of money.
We're predicting Saudi for the venue, but
I think it's like Saudi.
If the date hasn't been announced, the location hasn't been.
I think we're looking at June, wasn't there? Summertime.
And that's when restrictions here are supposed to be.
I'm not saying,
it would be a risk, obviously, to do it here.
But I think that rematch, we'll target the rematch in 2022.
It happens. Obviously, we've talked about why we don't think it might not happen. But yeah, like, end of the day, it's going to be great. And I'm sure we're all going to love it. And it's going to be exciting in its uncertainty. I just still think Fury finishes Joshua.
Fair enough. On the subject of world champions, we've got to look at last night's performance. Lawrence Okolie getting the job done against that tough Okolie 6-round knockout. I want to say your thoughts on that.
Fantastic performance from Lawrence Okolie. In the first 3 rounds, he was edging it. You could kind of see the way it was going first 3 rounds.
Yeah, definitely.
4th round, he definitely started to push the pace more. I think he hurt him in the 4th round. And then the 5th, finished it off in the 6th with a beautiful right hand, I think it was.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I thought I was very impressed. I thought it was going to be a tougher fight because Okolie, he's been with some tough names. He's been with the best. He's been with Bradis. He's been with Marco Huck. But Lawrence Okolie, like, he gets some stick from the fans. Like, his style's not entertaining, but when that boy lands on you, you're going to feel it. And I generally think he has a problem in that cruiserweight division. I don't even think that cruiserweight division's strong, since obviously Usyk vacating all the titles. I know Bradis has got a couple of them. Even Ilunga Makabu, we all know what Tony Bellew did to him. But I generally think Lawrence Okolie's the best cruiserweight in the world, and I think he proved that last night. I don't think Marius Bradis wants the fight.
I think what's fantastic for Okolie, I'm not saying he's an awful fighter. I think from what we've seen of him, it's very early in his career, is he's a very
he's 16-0. He's 16-0.
He's won a world title. He is quite old though. He's 28 now. Quite an old. He's quite a late maturer in a way, and he will hit his peak later than other
Very
fighters.
soon. I think he'll hit very soon. And like he's 6'5", and I know he's mentioned a couple of times like he intends to move to heavyweights. I think he'll clear up that cruiserweight division. It'll be a handful for a lot of heavyweights. I know he had a back and forth with Dillian Whyte. I remember that.
What seems likely and what he'll want as well is he goes and unifies the cruiserweight division. Like he's 28, so he doesn't have too many years. You get what I mean? So
yeah.
He can't really go and just defend his title. He has to go now and chase more of the belts.
I think that's what's next for him. I think
he has to beat Lumber Makabu. I'm not saying Lumber Makabu by any chances. We seen that he floored Bellew in the first round.
Yeah, it was a lovely counter left. I think right in the bottom in the first round.
I honestly think by the end of this year, Lawrence Okolie will want to, and I think it is likely that he will unify the cruiserweight division and move up the heavyweight, and it's very exciting for him if he moves up the heavyweight.
I agree, yeah. There's a lot of matchups. I wouldn't mind seeing Okolie against Daniel Dubois in the future. I wouldn't mind that.
On that,
100%.
Daniel Dubois, Usyk, I think, is looking likely to happen now, isn't it?
Joyce, you mean?
Joyce, yeah, sorry.
Yeah. I think that, it's for the interim title. I just think Usyk will probably school him. I know the 42 of amateurs. But with Usyk, I think he's too small in the heavyweight division. I think when he gets into big boys, I think he struggled against Derek Chisora. I think I watched the fight and Derek Chisora nicked a couple of rounds, first early rounds.
I think it was a fantastic performance by him.
Towards the end, 100%. Like
the Tony Berry performance as well. I know that was cool.
That was unreal.
It was cruiserweight.
Usyk
he is very good. That's why I think it's so exciting for Lawrence Okolie though, because once you've got that Fury Joshua fight out of the way, this might sound controversial, but you're looking at realistically both
retiring. I personally think,
and that makes it more open for all the fighters like Usyk, Joe Joyce,
Dubois,
Dillian Whyte. It's going to be it's very exciting division.
Yeah,
boxing's very exciting at the minute. We have obviously as well. I know going away from cruiserweight, Canelo, Billy Joe Saunders has been announced that for the super middleweight. That's boxing is so exciting at the minute.
I think it needed this year because I think last year UFC exceeded expectations. Like obviously with the pandemic last year in 2020, I just think UFC was slowly but surely like stepping over like boxing, being bigger than boxing. But with these big fights that they're doing now, boxing's starting to get big. It's going to get sort of like become that more attention. Obviously, your big names, your Canelos, your AJs.
I think obviously UFC helped by the fact that they got what they get in May. They got the events back on in May with Tony Ferguson, Gaethje with that interim fight. I can't remember where they got the location. I know they got obviously the fight.
It was Jacksonville, Florida, I think.
Yeah, they managed
something like that.
They managed to get UFC back within 2 months of the pandemic. They got boxing back with really when Eddie Hearn did his fight camp, which was
and that was it June, July?
Yeah,
it was like something like that.
On that fight,
to show.
The ending of that fight camp was the Dillian Whyte Povetkin fight. Obviously that is now happening next Saturday.
Yeah, I want to hear. That's a big. I think that's a bit bar the AJ Fury. I think this is the biggest fight. I think this is now or never for Dillian Whyte. I think if he loses this, I think there's nowhere else for him to go really. I think if he loses this, I think like you'll start to see that as like a gatekeeper, like what Derek Chisora is now. I think that first, I'm going to talk about that first fight. The first fight with Dillian and Povetkin. He started off well, like very well, knocked him down twice, and I genuinely thought he was going to get him out of there, and he just got caught slipping, and then Povetkin put what I think is one of the best heavyweight KOs of all time.
Do you have a stat? Do we ring join for Povetkin stats or Dillian Whyte stats?
I was looking down here. White's 27-2 with 18 KOs. Povetkin 36-2-1, 25 KOs. However, Povetkin is 41 though, so obviously his career, he's not going to last much longer. White's only 32. Povetkin ranked 4 globally with Whyte 8 globally, so that should be an interesting matchup.
With Povetkin, he's been there, done that. He's fought for that world title. Obviously, Dillian Whyte hasn't. And obviously, I've got to feel for Dillian Whyte. I've got to feel for him, like, with the number one, the WBC, and that obviously that's fake.
There was a time where I really like Dillian Whyte as a fighter. I think some of his I like his no nonsense. I love how he always seems to be annoyed at something.
He's a very likable character, Dillian Whyte.
Yeah, I find that quite funny. But what I think he missed out a huge opportunity on was he had an amazing 2018. He beat Joseph Parker on decision. He then beat Lucas Brown, I think, knocked him out.
Yep.
Early.
Chisora as well.
Or a rematch where he knocked him out. At that 2018, after the rematch, Joshua got in the ring, and they had like a conversation, and that was Dillian Whyte's chance for a rematch with Josh. And I don't know what happened there. I think
it was more money.
Yeah.
And short notice, like.
Joshua went into fight with Reason, yeah. Oh, he actually went to fight Miller, and then obviously that fight got there. And
like Dillian Whyte's he's a very good. He's come on leaps and bounds since the AJ fight. He's really went from that domestic. He's obviously built up. He won the British title, if I remember. He's beat Derek Chisora twice, Joseph Parker, Lucas Brown. And that Oscar Rivas was a good fight as well. I enjoyed that one. Tough fighter.
I honestly think on that first fight, he was in total control. And I know everyone said this for the last 6 months. We've seen every pun in the talk. Like that fight shows how one punch can change anything in boxing.
Definitely.
And Dillian Whyte was in control. That we have to take that into account. I honestly think going into the rematch, he still goes in as a favourite. I know fighters go in as underdogs in a rematch when they've lost. Dillian Whyte goes in as a favourite just for how much he was in control.
I think I've seen the bet, and I think he was like 2-7 maybe, and which is understandable given. I think he does get the job done though. I think like he'll fight the more. I think he'll fight the more safe fight, and I think maybe get Povetkin out there later, maybe 10 to 12 rounds, but you can't count out Povetkin.
If I was giving an honest prediction, Shay, I'd say Dillian Whyte finishes it in the 5th round this time.
I'm going to say, I think it'll be a late stoppage. I think Povetkin's going into this fight again. Nothing to lose, everything to gain. Because
Povetkin fighter, man. Like, I think he fought Klitschko a few years ago. He fought Joshua in 2018. And he
gave Joshua a few problems.
Yeah, he did. I think Joshua in the end got his.
Yeah.
But in Klitschko fight, I think Klitschko I know Klitschko had him down quite a lot of times, but he's so tough, man, and that is something you have to. That once again, he'll show that next Saturday.
He's a tough individual. Very tough.
Yeah, definitely, man. I just think Dillian Whyte closes the show this time. And then I don't know what he'll move on to though, because once again, everything now in the heavy. I know we're talking about it all the time tonight, but
I think he's got to get that title shot, isn't he?
Everything at the minute though in heavyweight boxing is now going to be linked to Fury Joshua, and that will be linked. That fight is going to be massive the next year. So that pretty much means that no other contender like Dillian Whyte, Usyk, Joe Joyce, Daniel Dubois, none of them can really get a title shot until that Fury Joshua chapter is over. So
yeah, and I agree. I think if Dillian Whyte wins Saturday, and then Usyk wins against Joe Joyce, I think that's the best fight to make personally, because if you look at Usyk's resume since he came in, I think he fought this short notice opponent and his debut. He fought obviously Del Boy, and then Joe Joyce. It's not the best. See a legitimate like resume. And if he fought and beat Dillian Whyte, a proven world top 5 easily ranked in heavyweight, I think that would definitely put Usyk straight, because I personally think they both deserve a world title shot. Obviously, Dillian Whyte, he was waiting so long for that Deontay Wilder shot, it didn't come. And obviously the WBO standing with Usyk on that WBO ruling. I know he was the undisputed cruiserweight champion. I think they've got a ruling if you vacate the lower division to move up, you automatically become number one mandatory. I think that was a similar situation with Billy Joe Saunders when he was the 160-pound champion in the WBO, and then he automatically, when he moved up to 168, he was automatically mandatory, and then he won that title. I think Usyk's a great fighter. I think he'll beat Joe Joyce, but if he fought Dillian Whyte, I think Dillian Whyte beats him. I think he'll struggle a lot against the bigger guys with more power. Didn't get his rank, Joe Joyce. He's a good fighter, as we're saying, against the Dubai. Really put a halt to that hype train that was going on about Daniel Dubois. He's got a very good job. He's very well skilled. Olympic silver medalist, I think it is. He's a very well prestiged amateur boxer. He's trained with Fury. He's trained with Joshua. He was a very late starter into the heavyweight division, and I think that's a very good fight. That will happen. I don't know if it happened in the AJ Fury card. I think that's more of a, I don't know what. Obviously, because
Eddie Hearn said that it would be Usyk would fight Joyce, and then the winner of both fights, of the Usyk Joe Joyce and the Tyson Fury Joshua fights one of them. Which is once again why I honestly think if Fury beats Joshua, Fury retires, and then we get a Joshua Usyk fight, which I would love to see, because I still think, I know we've talked about Usyk earlier in the show again, but I honestly would love to see Usyk challenge for like the biggest prize ever, because he's proven it. He proved how good he was at cruiserweight, and he's proved so far how good he is at heavyweight. I mean, he's only had 2 fights, I think, at heavyweight.
Yeah.
But I'd love to see it still. So yeah, once again, like, heavyweight division is very exciting. So
it's booming, and I think heavyweight boxing's back. Like as you said, I think it was more the early 2000s, like going from 2010 onwards. I think the Klitschko's dominated for so long. It was getting a bit boring, and then when Fury dethroned Klitschko, and then
opened up so much for Joshua Klitschko. Everything just opened up so much after that, which is why victory over Klitschko was so good. Everyone's gonna think I'm kind of like Tyson Fury super fan. Yeah, but going on back to Dillian Whyte, I think he beats Povetkin next Saturday. Obviously, what do you think?
I believe,
being in Gibraltar, what do you think of that location? Because obviously
I know there's fans
getting the fight.
I know there's fans.
Is there?
Yeah, because I think it was Eddie Earney mentioned it on Sky. Gibraltar, like, health authority says if you had like the vaccine, like they have already got a vaccine passport or something like that. If you got vaccinated and you're a Gibraltar resident, you can watch the fight. There's tickets on sale for that. And it's a decent card. Obviously, the fight sells itself for box office. I think you've got Fabio Wardley against Eric Molina, which I like. I like Fabio Wardley. I think he's a great fighter. Heavyweight boxing's back.
Rumble
I think.
What do you think of that title for it? And when
that's a title from Eddie Earn's book of many comical. I think.
Yeah,
you gotta love Eddie Earn, what he does for boxing. I think he's brilliant.
Going off boxing to UFC then.
The big fight. Unfortunately, I don't know if you know about. Have you heard about the Cormier being cancelled?
Yeah,
no.
Volkanovski, Ortega. Volkanovski's got COVID, so that fight's not happening anytime soon.
Which is a shame, because I generally thought Ortega would have beat him. Volkanovski was very, very, very lucky in the rematch against Holloway. I actually scored it maybe about 4-1 to Holloway, and like I couldn't believe my eyes. And like, obviously Ortega, he had that loss against Holloway, and he went back against the Korean Zombie and he put in a career best performance. But that fight will come again. And obviously the main event speaks for itself. Stipe, in my opinion, the greatest heavyweight of all time.
I'd agree with that.
Monster, the absolute monster that is Francis Ngannou. Obviously the rematch, the first fight, Francis was very raw. He obviously came off the back of that, not that spectacular knockout against Wolverine, the hype, and then obviously I know he was fighting about MMA, professional MMA, for like 3 years maybe before that Stipe fight.
Was that all it was?
I think it was something like that. He got thrown in the deep end, and obviously Stipe shut that hype train down immediately. So, and even after that fight, he fought Derek Lewis, and also it's the worst UFC fight I've ever seen. He looked gun shy. And like I thought, oh, this is like he's never going to fight again. But honestly, then, and he fought. I think it was Curtis Blades.
Yeah.
Curtis Blades, and then he obviously knocked him out. And fought, in my opinion, the second greatest heavyweight of all time, Cain Velasquez. Well, Cain's very inactive these days. He knocked him out, and he knocked Junior Dos Santos out. And then obviously that big KO against Rosenstrike on fight on that, what card was it? Was it the, I think it was the Tony, that was the Tony Ferguson Gaethje card. But Ngannou, he's a special fighter. But let's talk about Stipe as well. To beat Daniel Cormier twice, his resume speaks for itself. Daniel Cormier twice. He's beat Junior Dos Santos. He's beat Overeem. Stipe is up there. He's very good. He's world class. Like you can hardly put him in the conversation for greatest of all time.
Well, I mean, going back to Cormier as well, hasn't he only had like 3 losses, and it's been Stipe and Jon Jones. Like he's
lost to Stipe twice. Well, it would have been 4 losses. 4 losses because obviously Jon Jones beat him twice, but obviously Jon Jones failed the drug test, didn't he? The second fight.
Yeah.
So obviously that loss got took away, and then the Stipe DC first fight, when that happened, that was amazing. I was so happy for DC that fight. Like it was unbelievable. And then the second fight, I had DC up, got tired, got caught. And the third fight was just an absolute war. That was a really great fight. And then obviously DC's retired now.
Prediction for the fight, Shay?
It's a tough one to call, though, isn't it?
He's come on leaps and bounds. I'm going to stick by Ngannou. I think he's going to put him out, and I think he's going to put him out early.
Really?
I think it's them one and done. I'm going to be bold here. I see it's under a minute Ngannou.
Wow, that is bold. That is bold.
I think Ngannou's going to put him to sleep in under a minute, and then that leads.
If we want to podcast any day soon, he is going to reject after hearing what you've just said about him.
I'm sorry, Steve. I don't know if he's able. If you're listening, Steve, I'm very sorry for being honest.
I don't think.
Obviously,
the winner of that isn't Jon Jones in the works for the winner of that fight.
Yes, in the summer.
What a fight that'll be!
Jon Jones is a special. In my opinion, he's the greatest MMA fighter of all time, regardless of the failed drug test and criminal accusations. Jon Jones is a special athlete. I mean, he's beat DC twice, Gustafsson twice, Dominic Reyes, Thiago Santos, Anthony Smith. He's beat them all, like Glover Teixeira he's beat. And also he's the youngest, he's got the record for the youngest UFC champion. And I've been seeing him training, he looks chunkier. He says he mentioned he's...
he looks chunkier.
He does, you should see the video. He's mentioned that he's 245 pounds. He's bulked up, he looks big, he's filled out, he still moves well. I think that's going to be the key for Jon Jones in this heavyweight division. That's why I think he's going to succeed so much. I think his movement is going to be key. His fight IQ is, I don't think anyone's got a better fight IQ than him. I think looking at the heavyweight division, I think bar Stipe here, maybe this new lad, Cyril Gane, I think bar them two, I don't think any of them's got that higher, very good movement, footwork. I think they'll be very flat-footed. Like Derek Lewis, he put in a good performance. Shocked a lot of people against Curtis Blades. I think that's another fight. But I've always wanted Jon Jones to come to heavyweight. I think he's dominated like heavyweight for so long. I think it's the best opportunity. But if you wanted us to pick who would be perfect, I would like to see more fight Jon Jones. It'll be the Stipe fight. I prefer Stipe to fight Jon.
Do you think Stipe would beat him?
No, I don't think anyone will beat
really?
Jon Jones. I think it'll be a closer fight, whereas I think Jon Jones will just wipe the floor with Ngannou badly. I think it'll be a mismatch.
Even after Ngannou beats Stipe inside a minute, I still think Jones will...
I think he just outclasses him in every department. I think he'll take Ngannou down late rounds. I think he'll submit him. I definitely think he'll finish him. And then that obviously starts Jon Jones' career, whereas I think Stipe is more well-rounded. He's got many tools for his game, and I think that'll take a lot of beating. I still think Jon Jones will probably beat Stipe by decision. Actually, Jon Jones is never going to get beat again. I think he's going to rule that division as well. Obviously, you've got the contenders coming through, Cyril Gane. that big win against Rosenstruik. Very boring win, but it was a good win.
A win's a win.
Let's start with Derek Lewis against that Blades. Oh my God, I'm always cheering for Derek Lewis. I cheered when that came in. My God, that heavyweight division in UFC as well is looking very good. You've got the young lad from England, Tom Aspinall. I think he's starting to break into the rankings. It's obviously sad to see the two legends go. Junior Dos Santos has brought many memories. Alistair Overeem too. I think that new era of the heavyweight division in the UFC, and just the new era in UFC altogether is starting slowly to come about now. I think they're all getting old. I think Jon's 33, obviously Conor's 32, and like they're all starting to hit their peak now. I think obviously we'll talk about Khabib in a little while.
I think you want. I think it's a shame as well that UFC, the heavyweight division of UFC, is fading, aging now. You're getting all these legends retiring. When the heavyweight division at the time, when UFC first came about, was the most watched division. Like it was.
It is. That's what everyone. The baddest. They give the name the baddest man on the planet. Cain Velasquez's, Brock Lesnar. That's when I first started watching UFC. When it was like Brock Lesnar was champ. In the years previous, and you've got your Arlovski's, Tim Sylvia's.
It's all it was. Like that's pretty much what all.
Heavyweight. It was when it first happened. It was more of an open weight, wasn't it? You say like now, the Vice Gracie's.
And now it's lightweight. Like it's lightweight now as well. It's mad how it's changed. And,
I think lightweight is the division at the minute.
In terms of obviously, you say Jon Jones is the greatest. Are you saying greatest MMA fighter of all time? Like number 100%. One. Where would you rank Khabib? Because obviously after his retirement, he's 29-0. He's had wins over the likes of Gaethje, Poirier, McGregor. I mean, he's got a perfect record.
Yeah, you've got to give it to him. Right? He's a phenomenal fighter. Well, for greatest of all time, for me, it's got to be Styles. I'd definitely put him in top 5. I think 5th.
Fifth?
I put 5th.
What I loved about Khabib was he knew what his strengths were in the octagon. That's why he's only lost 2 rounds. He knew what his strengths were. He would go straight in for the takedown on you, and he would put you up against the fence. And
he'd done it so easily as well.
And that's how good. That's why I respect him so much. He just went in. He did what he was good at. He didn't stand up to many fighters. And he
just drained. I think the perfect was the McGregor fight, of course.
Yeah,
he drained McGregor's energy, and then he'd stand in trade. That's how he outlanded him.
That's how he won.
It was very clever.
Yeah, and then it was again like he's a man of his word. He said he'd retire after the Gaethje fight, and I knew he meant that. Like everyone was saying, could he come back?
I think he would have came back if Conor beat Poirier, because everyone that fight
that's the money fight.
Khabib McGregor too, that would have been the biggest fight of UFC history, but obviously, unfortunately, that fight never occurred due to Justin Poirier's amazing win, by the way, against Conor McGregor. I think now that leaves so many good fights for the lightweight title. I know, let's talk about that lightweight division. I know it's Charles Oliveira against Michael Chandler for the vacant title. I think it's in May.
UFC 262, yeah.
I think that's a phenomenal fight.
I've got the rankings down here for the lightweight. I mean, any one of these fighters could get the title. Literally every single one of them. They're all like really, really good. There's not many divisions where you look at. I've got the top 11 here actually, and they're all like outrageous.
Mm-hmm.
Read them out.
We want to go from 1, obviously, since Khabib's retired, 1 to 11 or 11 to 1. Because I've had to include Islam. I don't know how to say his name. Is it Makhachev? Yeah, I mean,
he's just the Khabib 2.0. I think that man is. I think he's going to be the one to read.
That's why I've included him at number 11 there. Like, obviously, you usually go the top 10, but he's going to sneak up there definitely. So obviously he's in 11, Feld at 10, Dariush 9, Dan Hooker 8, Dos Anjos 7, McGregor 6, Ferguson 5, Chandler in 4th, Oliveira 3, Gaethje 2, and Poirier in 1st. So obviously Oliveira and Chandler fight it out for the title on It is in May, isn't it? Yeah.
I think Ferguson's done. I know Ferguson.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah,
100%.
He's Justin Gaethje took his soul.
Yeah,
like he just shut him down, and then Oliveira just didn't look the same. And I think Beneil Dariush beats him as well. He's done for Tony Ferguson.
Why once again Khabib is the GOAT of the lightweight division, and he's retired because you've seen Gaethje go through Ferguson and pretty much end Ferguson's career. I know Ferguson fought Oliveira and he got screwed in that fight again. That Gaethje fight broke Ferguson, and then you went to see Gaethje for Khabib, where I remember being so excited for that fight in October, and Gaethje, that was the one fight where Khabib didn't go for a takedown in the first round. Gaethje tried to avoid that takedown, and what you've seen was Gaethje land so many shots.
He did.
And Khabib just, it's like what I know. I'm gonna quote the true Geordie here, but like he hit Khabib with shots he hit Ferguson with, and Khabib literally stared him in the face and said, "And what?" And then and you got in the second round, obviously, and it was finished so quickly. The second round came in, and it was done.
Justin Gaethje, he was took down so easy. I'm not being biased here, but I generally thought Khabib's toughest fight to date was Conor. I think if you compare his other wins, I think Conor done well. I think Conor was the toughest to take down. Khabib, people forget Khabib had to really work for them takedowns. I know Conor stuffed. You don't see many fighters stuff a Khabib takedown there. Conor stuffed quite a few.
I just think everyone was saying, we need to get him out of retirement because there's all these fights. He's proven he can beat anyone. Like you could see.
He doesn't need to prove anything.
Yeah, and you've got Oliveira there, who that could have been a potential fight. Why does he need to fight Oliveira? He's proven he can beat the best in the division.
There's only two fights for me that would tempt Khabib out of retirement. I think GSP, and the other one, if somehow Conor gets the lightweight title back, I think the winner of Oliveira and Chandler and the winner of Conor and Dustin, I think them two will fight for the belt.
Gaethje's still out of it then though, because obviously he needs a shot because he's second.
Yeah, we've got Gaethje have another shot at it. Like Khabib's
Gaethje got offered the Chandler fight, and he turned it down.
He did.
Gaethje, I swear. Sorry, my lack of knowledge here. Hasn't Gaethje been? I swear some fight was rumoured with him like just a few days ago.
It was a Chandler.
Yeah. So
that's what I'm saying. He turned it down, and I think looking at the rankings, what Joe says, I think the only fight that makes sense is I like to see him against Danuka. He's on a 2-fight skid. He lost to Michael Chandler. He lost to Dustin Poirier. But I'd like to see him against Justin Gaethje. I think that'd be a really good fight. I think it'd be a good stand-up fight. I'd like to see RDA, Rafael dos Anjos, like see him in the mix against Islam Makhachev. I think that's a fight to make as well. But yeah,
I heard a lot of people wanting Islam against Ferguson. That was what a few people wanting. I know.
I've said it so like, I love Tony Ferguson. I think he's a fantastic bloke. He's like a different breed sometimes. Like the pre-fight build-up. He's like not even human sometimes. But he's done. Like I'm sorry to say it, but he is like.
I had a similar opinion. I think Justin Gaethje took his soul basically. I think obviously gets the nickname El Kakui, but he lost that aura about them against Gaethje. Because now you're coming to Tony Ferguson like
you should be feared.
I think he's done. I think he's.
Yeah, I think it's McGregor Poirier for the third fight. I think we've still got to say that, and why not just allow them to have it for the title for that third fight? I know, and I know everyone's saying, McGregor, he's lost 3 of his last 6 fights. What McGregor's done for UFC is mental. Like as we talked before, UFC being heavyweight being the main division UFC, McGregor made
McGregor
big. So why
he put them on a different pedestal?
And
do you know what I mean?
I think he's just about proving. I know the last few years have been so rocky. I still think he's just about proving that for the third fight with Poirier, it should be for the title. And why not? I'm not saying he beats him, by the way. I don't know what will happen in that. It depends.
I know what will happen.
Learn from that second fight, because I thought it was a fantastic performance by Poirier, but the whole aura from McGregor as well seems to have just.
I think he overlooked Poirier.
Definitely.
In a way, because he had that Khabib rematch in his sight.
He was looking for the Pacquiao fight as well. He was one
exactly
of the,
like his style. He looked very flat-footed. I think now I think going into the trilogy, I think he's now it's now or never really. As in like the Cowboy fight, I think he'll come into a similar mentality to that. It was now or never. I think if he loses to Poirier, I think he's done. I think the only fights left from him is if he gets beat against Poirier. I think the only fight left from him is the Diaz trilogy.
And does he take that Poirier third fight? Like
I think he's got to.
But
I think he's got to.
Do you think he's the same fighter as he was in 2015, in 2016?
When you make,
he's done it all though, hasn't he?
I don't care what he says. When you make that much money, you lose that eagerness. You lose that. But
that's what I'm saying.
He's demotivated. That's what people don't. Yeah.
He's overcame. He had that year 2019 where all the accusations are coming out about him, and he seems to have kind of overcame that, and he seems to be a family man again now. And I just think let him do that. He's made his money, and what you don't want to see him is you don't want to see him come in now and have 6 losses on your record.
That's what happened with Anderson Silva, and it was very sad to see someone like that go out.
And I just think he's made his money. What he's done for the division is fantastic. And I do think it's on the knife edge of one more fight, lose one more fight, and you're done. It doesn't matter if it's Poirier.
Oh, definitely.
And it's done.
He's got to win this trilogy. No doubt about it. I think he will.
I honestly think he beats Poirier and then retire. Because the whole point of him still being in the game for me was that Khabib rematch and seeing him beat Khabib.
See,
that's done now. So
if he beats Poirier, obviously in the title fight, I think Chandler would beat Oliveira. I think Chandler, and then that sets up McGregor against Chandler, and I think Chandler's style is very tailor-made for Conor. I think he's dealt with a lot of wrestlers with that overhand right, Chad Mendes, Eddie Alvarez, and I think if Conor becomes a lightweight title again, and then Khabib comes into the picture, and that rematch is bigger than ever because Conor's coming into as champion, Khabib's coming into getting the belt back, retire 30-0. For him to not to retire on 30-0, it is obviously a bit. I know his father wanted to retire on 30-0, so it was a bit bizarre him retiring. I thought.
Yeah.
Fair play at him. I'll give it to him.
Just going on to staying on. I know you're the main bloke on this show, you know, but that's forward. But what do you make of the Usman Masvidal rematch?
I just think it's stupid. I really think it's pathetic.
Wow.
Usman wins.
Usman stops him. Usman beats him up badly. I think Masvidal is a journeyman, isn't he?
Well, I was just about to say I've got his record here. Usman's 18-1. I don't think Usman's lost in the UFC. Masvidal's 35-14. I mean, it's
exactly.
I
don't care. The last fight was on 6 days' notice, 6 hours' notice. Kamaru Usman is a world class. He's special.
Oh God,
That's why I think if Masvidal in that first fight tired and then got stopped, maybe let's say like round 3, then you can have the grounds to say, oh well, he with a full camp he'll beat him. He went 5 rounds still with him.
Yeah, true.
That's why I don't know what will change with the second fight. What as well?
I think
only last fought a month ago, so he's now
exactly
later. If Usman beats Masvidal in this rematch, it's massive for him.
Should set up the Colby fight. That's what I want. The Colby Usman rematch. I wanted Colby against Masvidal. I think Colby would have destroyed Masvidal, and I want that Colby Usman rematch. I think that's the fight to make. And welterweight, because that puts Colby in an awkward situation now. I just don't think Jorge Masvidal deserves a title shot. I think he got beat. It was 50-43 on someone's card. Like, to get a rematch just after that, I know it's 6 days notice, but still, to get a rematch after just losing the champion, 50-43. Like, come on. And obviously, the first Usman against Colby fight, Colby bounced back, put in probably a career best performance against Tyron Woodley. I think he's more deserving of a title shot. But I think that leads to a really good fight. Gilbert Burns against Colby. I'd really like to see that fight. But obviously Leon Edwards was in the mix, but obviously he's got to fight Belal Muhammad again. Obviously that's shocking travesty.
That was a nasty eye poke, that mind.
What I witnessed in the main event last week, wasn't it? Something like that.
Yeah.
But Usman, Masvidal prediction?
I think Usman stops him in the third round. I'm saying third round.
Agree. I think third round TKO.
Yeah, definitely.
Again, I think you're overlooking Masvidal a little bit, Jay. I think.
Go ahead. I think I'm not just interrupting you, but it's a padded record. I mean, he knocked out a weight-drained Darren Till. Like Darren Till had to kill himself to get to 170. Flew over knockout against Ben Askren. Like Ben Askren is terrible. And then he fought another journeyman, Nate Diaz, by doctor stoppage.
He was in control.
AMF world champion.
Just bullshit, isn't it? Carry on, Jim. Sorry.
No, I do think you're overlooking a bit, but I do agree. Like what I said, like full camp, you can't use that as an excuse because of the way the fight went. There's no excuses to that. I do think Usman stops him, but I do still like Masvidal, and I think he's a bad man.
He's a very bad man.
Yeah.
Don't get us wrong. He's a good fighter. He's not on the level of the Colbys and Usmans. He brings in a lot from the UFC. I think Barr and Conor, I think he's the biggest name in the UFC, I'd say. Like that's fighting now. Obviously, Khabib's gone. Izzy. I think Izzy's lost a bit of stock in that loss against Jan. And obviously there's Masvidal. And I don't think with the UFC now they need to create those type of stars, and I think they really need to push Usman because in my eyes, like with Khabib out in the game now, like pound for pound, he's got to be up there with Jon Jones. At this minute, like you've got to push him. I like to see him go for that 185 title. I know he says he doesn't want to fight Adesanya, but I think they've got to push someone. I think Usman's the right person to push. I think he speaks well. I think he'll be boring at times, but he's changed up his game. Obviously, his performance against Gilbert Burns was unreal. His performance against Colby, that was a war. I think they've really got to push him and give him all the platform he needs, really, because they're lacking in stars now. With obviously Conor's probably on their way out. Khabib's obviously gone. Ferguson's gone. Diaz is gone, basically. You need to create those stars. And which I think UFC will always find a way. Obviously, Chimaev, he's still in the mix. Chimaev, there's something about him I don't like, but they would a little push in. But yeah, they need to think of something quick because I don't think anyone will like replicate what Conor done for the UFC. I don't think there'll be another Conor. I don't think anyone could possibly bring in the same amount of numbers as Conor does for the UFC. I mean, he fought basically a semi-retired cowboy at one and got 1.3 million pay-per-view buys.
He's attracted like a new fan base to UFC. I
think they need to.
Casuals kind of came in.
Yeah.
And I'm not like I got into UFC because of him. Like he was a man.
I think most people did.
Yeah, I did as well.
They need to push the women, I think, as well. And the women, I think Amanda Nunes. I think she's gonna be top 5 greatest, not just females of all time.
Definitely.
UFC fighters.
Definitely.
She's got to be. She's just so good. She's unbelievable. I think we've got to push women more. Obviously, they've got some solid champions.
On the 261 card in April, the Usman Masvidal 2, you've got Shevchenko versus Andrade, and I don't actually know how to pronounce her name. Is it Zhang versus Thug Rose?
Yeah. I'd love to see Zhang against Valentina. I think if they're both in that fight, I'd like to see that happen. Because Valentina I think she's the only one that pushed Nunes, and I honestly remember that fight, and I gave it 3-2 to Valentina. I thought Nunes got very lucky. I think that's the closest I've ever seen Nunes to getting beat. But ever since then,
both I think Shevchenko's lost 3 times. 2 of them were Nunes, and they both went around 5. So she's the only one. I'm pretty sure she's the only one to take Nunes to like the final round.
There was one more as well. I think.
Is there one more?
No, 2 more. Did you not? It was 2. Felicia Spencer.
Oh, that's right. Aye.
Yeah, I think you're on about take a round off her, because it was 2 shutout wins against Felicia Spencer and Duranda May. I think they were 50-45 across the board. And I think the Nunes rematch, the Nunes Shevchenko 2, that was like a split decision. I'm not sure. But Amanda Nunes, yeah, she's never getting beat. I want her to fight the men. I really want her to fight the men. I want to see her like literally put on the bantamweight division or something.
Finally, what do we make of Darren Till being announced to fight
Vettori? I think it's a good fight.
Yeah,
I love Darren Till, but Vettori has, since the Adesanya loss, he's matured as a fighter. Done career best performance against Hermanson. I think he probably gets a job done against Darren Till.
Really?
I think he outworks Darren Till.
It's a shame for Darren Till, because I remember when he beat who did he beat in Liverpool?
Wonderboy Thompson. Yeah.
He beat Wonderboy, massive for him, and then he went and fought for the title. He lost, and then you see him fight Masvidal, lose there. I think it was Robert Whittaker last year on Fight Island.
He put in a good performance against Gastelum as well.
Yeah.
That was his debut at 185.
So, it's a shame, because you seen when he beat Wonderboy, you seen someone, oh, this man could be the next big thing. Like, he could.
He was saying that, like, that's who they're pushing.
And now I think it's a bit of a shame for him. So I think we do need to see him. He's not getting any younger. So we need to see him win this next fight, and then win another one, and then maybe have another title shot. And when the next time he gets a title shot, he has to win.
He's got. I think he's got to win this fight, because I know Adesanya's been saying that he wants to fight Darren Till. He always, because that's the fight to make if Darren Till beats Vettori. And obviously Costa and Whittaker, that's been slashed now, and it's Whittaker against Gastelum, where I think personally it's a war. I want to mention last night as well, Derek Brunson shutting out Kevin Holland, stop the hype train. I think Derek Brunson against Costa is a good fight to make, but the middleweight division's livening up a bit.
Does this depend if Costa's drunk or not? that's got to go down. That is a Wilder excuse.
That's even worse than Wilder's. His excuse was, I had cramp or something, so I drank a bottle of wine to get us to sleep. I just don't understand.
Dreadful.
He wouldn't have been drunk, and anyways, because let's be serious. See, if he woke up in the morning and then he's got 8 hours to fight day or something, like fight time. That was Saudi. I was in Saudi, wasn't it? It was in Saudi time, and you don't be drunk for that long after I would have been drunk the night before. It's just a perfect excuse.
Yeah.
I like to see Costa against Brunson. That's a good fight to make.
Plenty of good fights to look forward to in like the next 3 months. Some boxing and UFC.
Yeah. Can't wait for this year. 2021 is going to be massive, man.
Josh going to be a bit.
Josh won't come back. Maybe see everyone in the stadium.
Therefore, I think that's the main one. Josh against that, was it Lara?
Yeah.
I think that's in the stadium. That's going to be massive.
It's going to be a big year. So I think, and I'm looking forward to talking about it all on this podcast.
So, lads, I think that's the end of the podcast. The first one. First of many, I hope. And also, obviously, there's not many boxing podcasts around, so I think it'd be nice for the fans. I hope everyone at home has enjoyed this podcast. You know, with a busy schedule coming up, many more. We'll be filling our Twitter with loads of content, our Instagram. There's many big things planned for future. And I'd like to see you. Thank you again for everyone at home. I know it's been a long time coming. The teasers that we've been releasing. I'd like to see as well. Please like and subscribe to the video, share as much as you can, and follow our socials down below in the description. Our Twitter, our Instagram, whatnot. Yeah, well, I'm just going to say a final bit from me. Stay safe. Right, so that's it, guys. See you in the next one.